What's up, Lucas Roth here. Hey, we're in Cashmere, Washington. I'm gonna run you through this deal that we bought, okay? So in the springtime, this listing comes up. It's a motel, 21 rooms, plus a manager's apartment, 1.1 million. And it's in Cashmere, Washington, which is in the middle of the state, 2.5 hours from Seattle, where I used to live. So anyways, yeah, comes up, looks good, because it's like 50,000 a door. The location's cool, because this town is like a charming little town. It's not like a junky little town. And it's also right next to a big city, which is Wenatchee. And then 10 minutes away on the other side is Leavenworth, which is a huge tourist attraction. So it seemed like a cool building. Well, there was like one picture online, right? I called the agent as soon as it goes on the market. And by the way, it was on the MLS, just a regular MLS, which feeds Redfin and Zillow and everything else. So I called the agent. Oh, you know, there's no information. No, there's no financials available till after mutual, you know. They didn't want to carry a contract. So, okay, so there's not a lot of information to go on. We had just bought our first motel in January, so I kind of was like, not really in the mindset of trying to overextend. But so anyways, it goes pending. A couple of days later, it goes pending. And after it went pending, I was like, man, it really did look like kind of like a cool possibility. So I called the agent, emailed him, texted him and everything, just like, hey, if this buyer falls through, let me know. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in Burger King eating my 2 Whoppers for $6, because you know how I do. And I get a phone call, and the dude's like, oh yeah, the buyer's falling through because he wanted to turn it into an apartment building, which is a very common kind of play these days. But it wasn't feasible, so he's walking. So I'm like, all right, this time I'm not gonna let it go. You know, I'm just gonna go for it. So I'm like, all right, let me drive there right now. Is that okay? He says, yeah, go, I'll tell the owners. So hop in the car, pick up a buddy of mine, and we drive from Seattle out here to Cashmere. Spent about 1.5 hours with the owners. It was very obvious that they were just kind of like tired of running it. They didn't want to do it anymore. The motel seemed frozen in time from like 40 years ago. It was really cool property. In my lens, in my perspective, it was really cool property because nobody had touched it, but it was really clean. It just felt like good, you know, even though it was very, very outdated and punching very, very below its weight, right? So I'm like, hey, dude, if I write you an offer at your list price, 1.1 million, are you gonna sign it? He says, yeah. We run home, write the offer, send it, he signs it. So we got mutual, right? So first off the bat, mutual is always two things, right? It's the physical condition of the property and it's the condition of the business, right? So later we would do our inspection and it was basically fine, basically how I kind of expected. Lots of things, but you know, like how you'd expect a property to be built in the 50s. But yeah, the business side of things, after mutual, he sends me the taxes. Man, it was terrible. It was like way worse than what had been advertised at first because it was just breaking even, right? So on the tax returns, it breaks even. So to get back to the NOI, you actually add back interest, depreciation, amortization, items like this, and then you get the NOI. And the NOI was like really low. I don't remember the numbers at this point, honestly, but let's say it's like 40 grand, something like that. So not enough to get a loan. So I immediately just call the guy up like 10 minutes later after he sends it. I'm like, there's no way I can get a loan on this. He's like, well, I have a lender. So gives me the lender. The lender tells me, he's like, well, yeah, I told the listing agent I could write an offer based on the numbers he gave me at first. But now that I'm seeing these tax returns, like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. But he's talking to me. He's like, oh, yeah. You know, I tell him, yeah, I have a different motel. This would be my second one. I've been in real estate for a while. So I have some type of track record. So he was just kind of like, okay, well, maybe. He's like, just start giving me all the stuff. So, you know, it's a long process. I'm sending him tax returns, bank statements, signing debt schedules, all kind of fun stuff. But he made it work, surprisingly. Yeah, I was very surprised. But what ended up happening, this is a little trick. He's like, well, we can do an SBA loan with you. And what that does is it allows us to add back the manager's salary. So the manager was working here, owning it, and was they were paying themselves a salary. Well, being an SBA borrower, I'm considered the owner manager, and so I don't have to pay myself a salary on the books. So this is a purely like, you know, book thing. This isn't real life because NOI, it's like somebody has to run it. That's an operating expense, whether it's you running it or somebody else running it. But for SBA, they're like, oh, well, if you're running it yourself, then we're just going to ignore that expense of managing. So anyways, that brought the NOI up enough where they were able to kind of slide in the loan, and it was still tough, but they made it work. I give them a lot of credit. So still very, very long process, you know, it took months from beginning to end. And a quick note is like once I got those tax returns back, the price dropped from 1.1 to 1 million. So we agreed on a $1 million price drop. All right, so We borrowed 75%, so borrowed 750, 6.25% interest rate, fixed for 5 years, 10-year term, 30-year amortization. Let me walk you through and show you some of these units really quick. All right, so we're in the lobby right now. So kind of like that, manager did that. So anyways, okay, so we put 250 down, and we spent 300,000 fixing up the place, right? So these floors, I really like them. So I had somebody build this out. We put 50,000 into the lobby and a little bit into the manager apartment. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath manager apartment. And this is it right here. And then here's the laundry room. We got a big commercial dryer and 3 washers. So I'm just gonna walk you through. I kind of had to show you the view of this whole place. So we are on Cottage Avenue, and we're just on the edge of downtown. So you walk a block basically, and you're in the downtown. So it's right there. You kind of see the shops. Maybe you can't, but anyways, like here it is. So this is the original building, 7 units plus the lobby and manager's apartment, built in the 50s. And then they added this one shortly after, 14 rooms. So we have fixed up these 14 rooms, and we have not yet fixed up the 7 rooms. So like I said, spent 300,000 total. 50K went in there. 150K went into the new, those 14 rooms. We have fixed up all 14 with the exception of that room right there, which has the water heaters in them. And we had to leave that as storage because we just needed storage, etc. But anyway, so that's 200, because 150 for the interior of the rooms, and then 50 for the lobby and all that. And then we spent 70,000 on all the windows. And then 30,000 is basically just kind of like a bunch of other stuff. So here is one of the original rooms. So that is just dope. They don't make stuff like this anymore, you know? So this is kind of vintage, kind of beautiful, it's kind of amazing. I regret fixing up the other ones. No, I'm just joking, it's pretty junky, but anyways, so they had like, you know, floral print, like, you know, really dark quilts and stuff like that. So we've updated some of that stuff. We're gonna be painting in a little bit, but yeah, just kind of like a dark drab room. The lighting is just like poor. It's like all the rooms are kind of gray, or sorry, greenish or yellowish. Here's what the vanity looks like. And they have all these like little cubbies. And then here's the bathroom. So, you know, I mean, it's clean, it works, but it's not like at a level where, you know, people are gonna be really excited to stay usually. So now I'm gonna show you like a renovated one. So what we did in these ones is we put in like, you know, new furniture, LVP flooring, mattresses, lighting. We've got some lighting in the ceiling now. You know, mounted TVs, some furniture. All the rooms have a